Hey guys, in this video, we'll be solving the longest common prefix on LeetCode. So let's try to understand what a prefix is. Prefix is any set of characters that are coming in the front of a word, right? So for example, FLO or FL, in this case, every word starts with a certain set of prefix. And here we are trying to figure out the common prefix, and that is the longest common prefix. So each and every word, the longest one that we have is FL. For the first two words, the common prefix is flow because the second word is flow. The first letter also has flow. But when it comes to the third word, only F and L are common letters amongst the other words in the array. So FL is the longest common prefix. So it's very easy for us to figure it out visually when we are looking at the array, but we need to write or populate this function to return this programmatically. Also, another constraint here is if we cannot find any common prefix, in the second example, we have different words altogether which are starting with different characters or alphabets. So in that case, the output will be an empty array, sorry, an empty string. All right, and then let's also take a look at the constraints. So it's guaranteed that string will not be empty. So we don't need to write the code to check for empty string. And then empty array of strings. That's one constraint. We don't need to worry about that. The second thing here is each word, right? Each word in the array is at least of one character, which is greater than 0 and less than 200 characters. So we don't even have to check for emptiness of the string. So we don't need to do if the string is empty or not. That check is not needed. And the third one is it's the alphabets within the word are always going to be a lowercase English alphabets. Now that we know the constraints, let's talk about the approach by taking the first example. So in this, we are presented an array of strings, and visually, we've already spoke about how we ended up with FL because that's the longest common alphabets or substring that is present with between these three words, and they are starting with the words are starting with those characters. That's why it's called a prefix. Okay, so first and foremost, the approach will be we can define a prefix with this with the first word or the first string in the array, and then we can go over the rest of the words by using a for loop. So I'm going to start from the index 1 because we already know what's in index 0. So we are going to start off with a prefix, which is the first word. And now I'm going to start processing from the first index, second index, and so on and so forth. So let's do this. I is less than strs dot length, and I'm going to do I plus plus. This way, we are going to iterate over the rest of the elements or the rest of the strings. So the first and foremost thing that we'll be doing is we'll have to compare flour with flow. So we can have another variable called j and have a while loop, which is going to have a condition while j is less than strs of I dot length. So what this means is we are starting with j0, and when we are going through j, let me add a visual reference here. So we are going to start off j here, which is strs of I. That's the word. And then we'll be comparing each character in this word with the existing prefix, right? So when we do j less than strs dot length, we can say that we can compare if prefix of j is equal to strs of I, which is the word of j, then we can also create a common prefix for each iteration. So I'm going to populate this common prefix with prefix of j. So any word, right? And anything you can assign it to this or this, but the idea is to populate the common prefix. If not, if we do not find a commonality, if they are not matching, then we immediately know that there is no common prefix. So I'm just going to break from this loop. right? And then let's check this. And the other condition is if it goes through the if condition and comes out of it, we need to make sure that we are incrementing j to compare the next set of values. If f since f is matching in both the words, we are going to move to next character. We are using the same pointer j to compare them, so it will continue in the while loop. So it will compare l and l. That will work. So we are going to add f and l to the common prefix and increment j again. And then we are going to compare O and O, which will also match. Then W and W, which will also match. And then when J increments, the string dot length, strs of I dot length will exceed, so the while loop breaks. In that case, when I come out of the while loop, I know that I have a new common prefix, which is shorter than my existing prefix. So I'm going to reassign prefix with common prefix. Okay, and then what will happen is we are going to get a we have updated prefix. Now prefix will be flow, and then strs of I will be a new word, which is flight, because I has incremented. We have come out of this while loop. Now I has we have set the prefix, new prefix, and we are moving to the next word within the array. Right now, flight will be the word. Now we are comparing flight with the new prefix. So we are going to reinitiate j to 0, create another empty common prefix, go through the same pattern again, and this time prefix will be flow, and the comparison starts between f here, f this will match, and l will match. By the time it goes to I and O, it wouldn't match, so we are going to break from the while loop, and then we are going to be updating the common prefix, which is going to have f and l. And then once we have completed the iteration of all the arrays, all we need to do is return the prefix. So this will be our longest common prefix. So the prefix should be common across all the characters, even if it does not have a matching prefix in one character, then the entire value will be an empty value, right? So that is how it's going to work. So let's start off with adding the code, real code here. I've written pseudocode. So let me copy and paste this and also add this and make sure we go over the solution again. In this case, we will be having strs of 0, which is going to be the first element or first string from the array. Okay, and then we are starting from index 1, iterating over all the remaining elements. J common prefix will be empty string, strs of I. I think this looks good to me. So let's try to submit. Okay, I've given prefix as a const. Let me change that to let. Okay, so this has worked for the first two cases. So let me go ahead and submit it. So the solution has been accepted. So that is how we are going to solve the longest common prefix. There are, of course, different ways of solving this by using string functionality, string functions like substring to gradually decrease the common prefix. But I prefer using native JavaScript code and also think logically using like pointer techniques to solve this without depending on any pre-existing string functions. So this is how this is one way of solving this problem. I hope this is clear to you guys, and I hope you have learned something out of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. And if you like my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be creating more tutorials in the future. Thanks again.